what's currently happening in the modern metal scene is insane. I even made a prediction video for Metal 2023, but I had no idea what was coming. Also, did you know that 51% of you aren't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell. Come hang out. We do fun metal things here. Now, to start off with the naysayer saying, metal is dead. It's dying. Nothing's innovative anymore. You are so wrong. It hurts. Metal is in such a crazy space right now where there is so much happening. I'm going to be using a bunch of different types of examples, band-specific touring, but basically describing the overall health of the modern metal scene and what's going on, and how what's happening is honestly something bigger than it's ever been. I mean, starting out with something as simple as like Knocked Loose doing Coachella. This mainstream event where there's DJs and pop vocalists and them just blowing up and killing it over there, and having, you know, people like Billie Eilish in the back headbanging and throwing down to it, like things like that. And just seeing a bunch of just kids that are just, again, usually listen to whatever, maybe K-pop, and going there and just moshing and throwing hands. Like it's a beautiful sight, you know, even though it's just one band in that case. Even Demi Lovato, one of the biggest pop musicians in the world, shared Knocked Loose on her actual Instagram story, as well as like Throne. Dope shout out to that. And she even just did an entire metal-based interview with Jose, the legend himself.
Someone I've always wanted to work with is Corey Taylor. And,
Nice.
You know, obviously working with bands like Knocked Loose would be sick too.
Talking all about, you know, Job for a Cowboy, Knocked Loose, you know, why she likes metal, hardcore, all of that. Like, it's bizarro world to live in. And that whole, you know, more hardcore scene that like Knocked Loose, Throne, and like Code Orange and a few other bands are in is doing insanely well. These bands are going on crazy tours, of course, especially Knocked Loose, and seems to be selling very well. There seems to be a lot of things happening in terms of merch and just people talking about it and having a good time. You know, it's actually permeating through the metal sphere of just, hey, I listened to hardcore growing up. It seems to be kids that are coming even from like TikTok or whatever that are like, hell yeah, I heard the Orf and I want to go throw down. And I also heard about these other hardcore bands and punk bands, and I want to go see what's happening. Even Doja Cat randomly came out of nowhere saying, hey, I wanted to write a hardcore punk record. But it's not just the hardcore punk scene that seems to be blowing up a lot more and getting in the mouths of celebrities, as well as having these great tours. Also, the death metal tech death scene with things like Drake sharing Entheos' vocal playthrough of her going insano mode and killing it. Drake's sharing things like that. Again, you like Drake or not, doesn't really matter. It's a dude with a ginormous platform, literally one of the biggest musicians in the entire world, giving a spotlight to a progressive tech death band. And again, even with that scene, like bands like Archspire and Fury doing incredibly well, it seems. But it's just the idea that a lot of these bigger artists are willing to care at all about this. It's such a shift in culture within such a small amount of time. And so, oh my god, talking about culture, we can't have this video without talking about the new metal revival. I don't know how. New metal is more popular than it's ever been, which is so funny because in the 2000s it was huge, but was like the meme genre where everyone would make fun of people because they would be like the bro dudes that would drink whatever. Was Monster back in the day there? I don't know, would drink their Sunny D's with shorts hanging out going, hell yeah, brother. But now new metal's like cool, like Korn popping off, Slipknot, of course, always popping off, as well as obviously Deftones being as popular as they've ever been just by being themselves. Seeing that seep into the modern metal sphere with obviously bands like Loathe and now so many other bands that have shoegaze as an element, but also just into the TikTok sphere, the alternative sphere. I almost would say Deftones is more like part of the alternative mainstream scene than like the metal scene at this point, because of how popular they are on TikTok and how much they've just seeped to the masses on there with all of the thirst traps. And with a lot of those mainstream artists kind of recognizing metal, of course, there's the thing that's been going on almost for, I think, 2 years now, which is the whole idea of Ed Sheeran, well, first doing the Ed Sheeran Bring Me thing last year, which was incredible. But also Ed Sheeran talking about doing a song with Cradle of Filth, which is apparently actually going to happen. Like, I never thought of Shape of You. You know, pretty nice songy songs with black metal vocals. Like, sure, like I'm all about that, you know. I don't know if they're gonna, hopefully it's well done. I think it will be. And the collab list does not stop. First of all, Bring Me the Horizon coming back heavier than they've ever been, which I think is important. Again, if you like the band or not, they are trendsetters. There's still metalcore bands that listen to Sempiternal and they're like, we can probably try to do that 10 years later. They have always set the trend of what happens, and seeing them come back with their newer singles and it be like ridiculously heavy, deathcore vocals, crazy heavy riffs, and just sounds like old school, but very modern, like this new age of modern heaviness. And sure, it's not like Lorna Shore deathcore or anything like that, but like we still have Lorna Shore deathcore and Brand of Sacrifice and Slaughter to Prevail and Darko doing all that anyways. But with Bring Me also doing even collabs with Corpse, a huge mainstream rap e-girls artist that I love Corpse, by the way, as well as like, you know, Scarlord and everyone in that trap metal scene. I think is dope. Sometimes it can be hit and miss, I guess, but it's cool seeing bands like Bring Me collab with Corpse and making heavy killer tracks. Honestly, that's one of my favorite tracks of the year. I did a whole video for it. I've had it on repeat. And tied right next to it out of nowhere with Bring Me collaborating with everyone, Bring Me and Lil Uzi Vert. But Lil Uzi Vert not just collaborating with Bring Me, which again, also if you don't know who Lil Uzi Vert is, he's one of the biggest rappers on the planet. Again, a little trend here. He's also done crazy collab with Baby Metal on the same album, which again, these are modern metal songs. They're heavy, glitchy, low-tuned, double kick everywhere, screaming. Maybe his Chop Suey cover wasn't the highlight of everyone's lives. But I applaud him that he even did it in the first place. I think that's awesome, to be honest, even though I kind of wanted to delete my ears after. And without people even knowing, it was actually produced, and as far as I know, written by the guitarist of Pale Dusk, a smaller Japanese band that I've showcased on this channel before. I love them. I've said it before. They're one of the most exciting bands for me because they're just so genre fluided and heavy and wacky and just psychotic. I absolutely love them. And seeing that more, I don't want to say underground, but smaller, you know, metal niche area of music permeate through the actual legit mainstream on a Lil Uzi Vert record blows my in mind. Like overall, I've just never seen such a mixture of alternative mainstream culture, which I'm going to include maybe like rap and trap and even just TikTok, you know, emo, alt, whatever culture, combining with metal. I've never seen it to this degree, and it be this healthy, and everyone just be like kind of open to like, hell yeah, I with breakdowns. I've never heard one before, but let's throw it on and not be scared and, you know, get a cross and get you an exorcism because we're scared, right? Like it just seems so healthy in the perspective of the mainstream and the new generation. Just accepting metal and all its extreme stupidness and wildness is something that's honestly beautiful, and not just focusing of course on the collabs and metal being more recognized, but of course the tours are going well. There's tons of tours that are popping off right now with a lot of bands in both metalcore, hardcore, deathcore, death metal that are combining also sometimes with different artists, rap artists, and again having that whole like alternative scene plus metal scene combination. But also the streaming numbers, just everyone's blowing up, and with touring going well, I think bands maybe finally starting to make a little bit more money because they haven't been for a while. And I mean, the merch cuts definitely aren't helping that, and just seeing the music become more accepted. And honestly, probably one of my most favorite parts of all of this, besides metal being recognized more so, is just how metal is becoming this more genreless, genre fluid thing. There are no rules anymore. You can have a deathcore breakdown and a hyperpop chorus, and as long as you can pull it off, it just has to be good. Just make it good. That's it. And I feel like the 2010s were a good experimental years for, you know, what to do and what not to do and how to do it. But now it's so cool to see so many bands try unique, different shit and different genre fusions. And of course, we have honestly bands like Bring Me the Horizon to thank for that. Bad Omens. And of course, the biggest highlight, I think, of the year in terms of out of nowhere success, Sleep Token. Again, if you like these bands or not, it doesn't matter because they're pushing boundaries like I've never seen in before, or at least for like past 20 years. Even A7X has really pushed boundaries with their last record. Again, if you like it or not, it was very wacky, but they went for it, and I applaud bands for doing that. Basically, seeing what's happening in these scenes, seeing how touring is going very well, and bands are having these bigger bills with more mainstream artists and bigger bands. You know, metalcore bands can go with like a butt rock band, and it's totally cool. And how monthlies are well, and how the mainstream culture is combining with the metal culture, and big celebrities are starting to notice all this stuff and, you know, say, hey, I want to do a hardcore record, or I love these bands. Like, that's something so special. Anyone out there saying, yo, metal's dying, it's dead, you're just not looking in the right places. I'm sorry. This is an exciting time for metal. As a metalhead, I'm extremely hyped up to see what happens next. I don't want to maybe get my hopes up too much, but what's happening now, even if it just stays at this, I'm happy with. Because metal ain't going anywhere. It's only getting bigger. And also, Core Kid for life!